Okay, good evening, guys. So, welcome back to our lesson for the cash flow statement now. So, we'll just continue. I will not go back anymore further. So, adili lang nato siya yan, no? Let's say, yes, okay. So, now, these are the non-cash investing activities. So, kung yung kitag non-cash, guys, meaning it doesn't involve cash. So, wala ni gawas, wala ni sulod. So, since they do not use or provide cash, they are not included in the body of the cash flow statement. Instead, they are disclosed separately. So, sa ubos baka, pwede siya. So, these are the example of the non-cash investing activities. So, we have here number one, the acquiring assets through issuance of shares. So, when a company, no, nipalit og equipment worth 5 million pero wala siya nagbayad og cash. Ang iya gibayad is by issuing its own stock. Then you also have your acquired assets through incurrence of debt, meaning utang mo. So without paying cash upfront, palit ka og building, and then assign ka og mortgage payable. Now we also have the conversion of debt into equity. So for example, ato gi-convert ang 10 million loan into shares of stock. So instead of receiving it in cash, ato gi-convert, no? So that's one example. So another is the swapping, no, exchanging non-cash assets. For example, when we swap the land for equipment, company A na land, company B na equipment, nagsabot sila na mag-swap. So that's one of the examples of non-cash investing. So just a quick check, no? The main categories of cash flow activities are, you must really know this, it's letter D, operating, investing, and financing. So now, I have prepared activities, no? Para ma-question jud kung ma-test nato kung nakaibaw jud mo sa operating, financing, and investing. So now, we have your purchase equipment for 130,000 cash. So when you purchase an equipment, this is a non-current asset now. It means it is not easily convertible to cash. So now, our purchase equipment, dili siya day-to-day business operation. Therefore, it belongs to investing. So next, cash received from sales to customers of 25,000 from the word itself, cash, and then sales. So, kay bao natadaan nga naay ni, nadawat na kwarta. So that's part of the business operation, and that's operating. Now, another is cash paid to suppliers. Nibayad ta sa suppliers. Nibayad ang business, let's say. For example, nibayad sila sa ilang supplier for inventory. 10,000. That's still part of the operating. Then another is cash paid for the purchase of equipment. Still, that's investing. And then issued 40 pesos per preferred stock for cash. Ang clue ninyo guys, if for example, sa kaning common stock, preferred stock, issuance of shares, that's part of the financing. Okay, there are two types mga good of ways nga maka-raise the capital sa business. First is kung mag-loan ta, and the second is through equities. So review all of this para mas magets ninyo. Now, this is the format of the cash flow, general format. Siyempre, mag-una ta sa heading, the business name, what type of report, and the period covered. Month ba ka ha? Year ba ka? Nara diha. Then, you just list down. Magsugod ka guys. Dili mo na ba't mag-shuffle anya. Magsugod you dapat from the operating activities. And you list down of all the individual items. Then, pag kumana mag-list down, inyo i-add, ibutang nyo sa net cash provided by operating activities. So that's a main highlight. Now, next is the cash flow from investing activities. More gapon, i-list down, then total, and so on and so forth. Now, at the end of the three transactions or activities, may buo na to kung nag-net increase ba or decrease ang atong cash. Then we also put the cash at the beginning of the period, which can be seen in the comparative balance sheet. Makita ninyo ang cash at the beginning period. And of course, if dato ni i-compute, we can also see the cash at the end of the period. Now, ma'am, nang sa ubos ang non-cash? Yes, because it should be disclosed separately. Okay, non-cash man siya. Now, there are two ways to format operating activities, the indirect and the indirect method. So the indirect method, magsugod jud ta aning net income, guys. So now, sa net income, we need adjustments. Then sa direct method, diretso na siya. So here's an example. As you can see, nata increase, decrease, that's indirect. Wala gani, diretso ra, that's direct method. So there are steps in preparing the statement of cash flows by the indirect method. Number one is the operating activities. Now, there are accounts that we need to analyze if ato ba i-add or i-deduct. Sa net income kasi, for oil and gas ha, okay, so back to our discussion. So now, nanata sa parts adjustments, no? There are some accounts that we need to consider if kailangan ba nato siya i-add sa net income or i-deduct. So number one is to add the non-cash expense. So if ever na may makita nga depreciation, amortization, or depletion, we need to add it back to the net income. And then, if we also have the gains and losses, so i-deduct na to siya if gains and ato siya i-add if losses. So we need to really analyze the changes in the current asset and current liability accounts. So as you can see, I have prepared here kaning blue box. No, this is a guide as to your kung sa may i-adjust, then effects gihapon. So now, nako gihimo nga guide dere. So sa indirect method ni siya nga guide actually. So you always start with net income. Now, after you start with net income, you need to take it nga kung sa may mga non-cash items and changes in the working capital ni need na ko i-adjust. Karon, we need to add to the net income usa ang non-cash expenses. So this can reduce profit but don't use cash. For example, lagi katong depreciation amort. Then we also have here the losses. These are on sale of assets, foreign exchange loss, then decrease in current asset. For example, if an inventory mo ubos, so i-add na siya back to the net income. Then increase in current liability. So that's part of money i-add sa net income. Then another one is ato po consider unsa di ato i-deduct. So we have here the non-cash gains. It increases profit pero walay cash inflow, meaning walay nisulod. So not it example is gain on sale of assets. Pila may ato na gain di ay sa pagbaligya. Next is the increase in current asset and decrease in current liabilities. So decrease in current liabilities because nagbayad na ta, then wala tayo cash. So you need to deduct it from the net income. Then that's for operating activities. Now, in investing activities, you need to take it into the consideration, no? Kung sa'yo pang i-add o i-deduct. So you will deduct if there is a purchase of PPE kasi since long-term assets man siya. Then of course, intangibles and investments. Then you also need to add the sales proceeds of PPE and the investments. Now, in financing activities, we need to add the issuance of shares or the borrowing of loans received. And we need to deduct the loan repayments kung nagbayad na ka, dividends and share buybacks. So as you can see, depreciation, di ba ang depreciation expense ato siya i-record? It's because mo depreciate ang usa ka asset. So now, wala siya cash involved. So this is a non-cash expense. So in order to remove it, we need to add it back to the net income. So same with gains and losses, no? When it comes to disposal of long-term, like land buildings. So this usually create a gain or a loss. So you need to analyze. Then also we have here a quick, ano, I mean, we have here the guide, no, kung unsa may increase o i-decrease. So for example, there is an increase in current assets, yung man decrease ang cash, we need to deduct it from the net income. Meanwhile, kung ang current assets ni ubos, then ang cash ni taas, you need to add it to the net income, and so on and so forth. So here also we have your adjustments made to reconcile net income. So please, kita adiri na ay unsay ato i-add, unsay ato i-deduct. So for example, so if I let you make a cash flow statement at the end of the lesson, so I will give you financial statements. So diha ninyo kung ano inyong amounts, diha mo magbase tanan. So now for example kani, so we have here the cash flows from operating activities for the computer services incorporation. Now this is an indirect method kay na net income. This amang ka ng 145, ma'am. Ang 145 na siya sa income statement, na siya sa net income, as you can see, this one. And then we also have here, unsa may mga kailangan ng adjustments dito na ka magsugod og analyze kung unsa may dapat i-add, unsa dapat i-deduct. Okay, so proceed, let's proceed. So next, we have here, when it comes to investing activities, of course, we need to review the long-term assets. Okay, for example, the disposal of long-term assets, that is an inflow, and the acquisition of long-term, that is an outflow. So for example, maghimo na punta sa investing, so we need to see it sa part siya sa balance sheet. So next is, for example, cash flows from investing activities. Cash received from the sale of equipment. Di ba? Apil mo tong proceeds. So asa magikan ng 4,000, ma'am? Ang 4,000, it is part of the additional information. For a while lang, guys. So that's part of the additional information. Nasa number 4. The company sold equipment with a book value of 7,000 for 4,000 cash. So, dapat nato ibutang. Then last, the purchase of building, of course, 120. Nagyan po na siya sa additional information. Nasa number 3, a building costing 120,000 was purchased for cash. Next, we need to deduct 4,000 minus 145, that's 141,000, negative na siya. Okay, step 3, financing activities. We need to review the long-term liabilities and equity. So when it comes to financing. So same as it is. So dito gyapon ta mag-base sa as a balance sheet dapit. So we have here the bonds payable and the common stock. So in a cash flow na, so we have the issuance of common stock na ana po na siya makita sa additional information, and that's number 5. Then less the cash paid for dividends, of course, 29,000. So is equals to negative 9,000. So after that, as you can see, mo na ito nahimo. So natay cash flows from operating activities which totals to 172,000, from investing negative 141, and from financing it's negative 9,000. Namali ra ni siya. So we have here the increase or decrease in cash, 22,000. Cash at the beginning of the period, makita niyo nato siya sa comparative balance sheet. And of course, cash at the end of the year. Kung nakita ninyo sa ubos, there is a non-cash investing in financing activities, which is the issuance of bonds payable to purchase a land. O siya ni gamit og cash, there is no cash involved. So makita ng 110,000 sa number 2. Issued 110,000 of long-term bonds in direct exchange for a land. So, more examples no sa non-cash investing. So let's move forward. So now here are the major classes of cash receipts and payments. So makita nato unsa man yung difference between cash receipts and cash payments. We have your cash receipts. That's of course from the sales of goods and services. Then of course the receipts of interest and dividends mga nasud sa ka-business. Then we should deduct it to the cash payments. So ato na bayad pud na pagawas outflow. Mo na to na pagawas na money. So sa ka-business like payment nato sa supplier, ato payment sa employee, mga interest taxes. So and that will result to net cash provided by operating activities. So we also have here the formula to compute cash receipts from customers. So mana increase in deferred revenue, i-add, i-minus if there is a decrease in deferred revenue. So mana na siya ang pag-compute. Then formula to compute cash receipts of interest. Tanaw na gid ninyo guys kung unsay effect niya kung mo decrease or mo increase. So mao na inyo silbi nga guide. Then we also have here the dividends, the payments to suppliers, of course, apil na siya. Kung sa kay buhato na to, if mo increase ang inventory, i-add ba, i-minus, nga na. Then, also the cash payments for operating expenses. Depende gyapon kung sa ni-increase o ni-decrease sa prepaid expenses and the accrued expenses. So, tanawa jud guys ang effect. Of course, the cash payments to employees, salaries, interest payable, the income tax payable, and this is the final the cash flow statement for the computer services. So please prepare for a quiz next meeting about the statement of cash flows and assignment. So please submit it by Tuesday sa ato time. And I will also upload this in the Google Classroom para na may copy. So thank you for listening and please study in advance. Do more research, tanaw videos para mag-gets tanan. As a student, you also have the responsibility. So thank you again for listening and see you next meeting.